Hello, everyone, and welcome to GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling podcast. I am running over here on YouTube.com, and we are going to be reviewing Wrestlemania 36 Night 1. Now, if you probably noticed on the channel, I got Wrestlemania 36 Night 2 already up. That was because at the time of starting to watch Wrestlemania, the second night of Wrestlemania, I had not gotten to the point of being able to review Wrestlemania 36 Night 1. I just hadn't gotten to that portion yet. So I ended up doing Wrestlemania 32 or Wrestlemania 36 Night 2 as my first review versus Night 1 because it was still fresh in my mind, everything to go along with that. We will be going through everything, at least going through each match on this show, including that wild ride at the end of the night. And yes, I do call it a wild ride, which was the Boneyard match to go along with it. But before we fully get into everything here, gotta say, with everything that everybody was given with this particular show for both nights, I feel like the WWE superstars and the rest of the staff produced a really good 2 nights of wrestling with those ones. This includes for your normal standard wrestling matches, and of course the cinematic matches that we got with the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match. If you want to know my take on the Firefly Funhouse match, that's in the other review to go along with that. But we will be getting to the Boneyard match to go along with it in this one as well. Also being said with this one, because again, like I say, the circumstances with everything going on with the coronavirus, everything on that particular side, we are in an absolutely crazy time. Hopefully, in the terms of people who will be listening to this, I'm hoping you're staying safe, healthy, doing everything that you can to get through this situation as best as you possibly can at this point in time with that one. For the superstars on this one, a big ups as well to them. Hopefully as well to anybody who is in this match, or not in this match, but in these 2 particular shows. Hopefully they are also staying safe, healthy, also not having any issues with them actually. They're not being forced into these particular things. It seems like both with WWE and AEW that they are not having any real issues with people, staying away if they don't feel comfortable being there. Hopefully that is the actual case with those particular ones. And yeah. Hopefully, like I said, those are the cases with that, and we'll hopefully get to be able to see everybody back as soon as it's possible. A lot of people is like, oh, this will be done by such and such time. It's going to be done when it's done, and hopefully we'll be back to being able to have live crowds and everything like that as soon as it possibly can. Who knows when that's going to be, though. So we're going to go ahead and start with the pre-show match, which was Drew Goulet going up against Cesaro. This was a quick-paced match. Also, a very good match to go along with it. It was there was a lot of different techniques that being used in there. I felt like both of them gelled well, though they didn't have much time to do their match to begin with. I liked the aspect of Goulet teasing going to the top rope, but playing off of what he had done in the cruiserweight in the 205 Live times, where he's like the no-fly zone. He instead does his arm drag off the apron instead of going to the top rope to do it. Cesaro ends up picking up the win in this match, though, with a no-arm airplane spin into a slam combination. It was a very impressive impressive feat, which is something that we're known for with Cesaro to go along with that. So, very interesting spot to do there. And in all honesty, with that, that would have been one of those things that would have worked out best for having a live crowd or something like that to go along with it. One moment. Just had to get a drink of water. After they continued through the pre-show and everything, I'll go along with that. You did have that awesome video package that they used for both nights on the that showed up there. Like I said, I thought it was a very good production that they had for their intro to WrestleMania this year to go along with it. So just had to throw that one out there. I liked that what they had put together for those particular ones. Up next, you had, well, basically to start the main card, you had the women's tag team title match, which was Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross going up against Kairi Sane and Asuka. I thought this was a really good match. I did thoroughly enjoy this match between both teams. The aspects of how they were breaking up pinfalls using different finishers and different aspects of what they were going in there made it feel like that both teams had a lot of importance to those titles, though it doesn't. Though the creative and everything behind the women's tag team titles hasn't been good at all, that both teams put forth very good back and forth in this particular one and tried to make them feel as important as they possibly can, even though that division, can you say it's dead? I don't necessarily know. To go along with it, but it is definitely lacking at this time where you don't have too many teams, and based off of night 2 you had another team getting broken up to go along with that, with Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville on those particular ones. The finish of the match was a very nice one. This was after Alexa had broken up a Asuka lock attempt with a twisted Bliss, and Kairi had broken up a pinfall attempt on Asuka with her insane elbow. Nikki Cross was able to hit her neck breaker again, that twisting neck breaker, and then Alexa Bliss hits the twisted Bliss on Kairi, and they pick up the victory. They get the women's tag team titles. Let's see what they're really going to do with this. I don't necessarily know. I don't see too much happening from these particular with these particular titles. It is in a division that is very much lacking at this point in time, but overall, I thought this was a good match. Up next, you had a quick promo about the match with Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan, and from Sami Zayn itself, nothing much to really talk about. It was just a quick promo with those ones about what Sami Zayn was going to do to Daniel Bryan a little bit later in the night. And we were off to King Corbin going up against Elias, and this was a fairly decent match. I was, out of most of these matches, this was probably, even same for like the Aleister Black and Bobby Lashley match that had no build. This one did have some build, but didn't really have a lot going into it. And not really looking forward to this match. Honestly, I felt like they put together a pretty decent match here. Both guys, or Corbin basically does do the whole aspect that is like, well, Elias just fell off that balcony last week. There's no way he's going to be here. Count out victory. Elias, of course, you get the strum of the guitar and Elias comes out. Normal wrestling trope with that one. When the heel's in the ring saying that the babyface isn't going to show up, babyface is going to show up. Generally, they don't necessarily go away from that trope too much. On that one, they do start a quick brawl on the outside with Elias hitting Corbin with the guitar. They get into the ring, and like I said, in the terms of the match itself, I felt like it was a pretty decent match. Nothing special to really write home about. Basically, the ending comes with Corbin trying to cheat the win, gets caught by the referee. Elias reverses it, rolls him up for the victory. Very weird in this aspect of Elias getting thrown off the balcony, getting severely injured, and he's okay with just a roll-up victory. That's a very interesting aspect to it. But overall, I thought the match itself was pretty decent. Up next, we have Becky Lynch going up against Shayna Baszler for the Raw Women's title. This was a very hard-hitting match right off the bat here. Both of them started slugging it out right off the bat, and this is one of the aspects that you kind of get with the empty arena shows, is that either the wrestlers themselves were working a little bit more stiff because there's nothing to really block any sound or anything like that, or just you hear it more because there's no crowd to drown out everything. You're just hearing every single one of the shots that each one of them were giving to each other. I thought this was a very hard-hitting match, kind of brawlish to its own degree on each side. You did have have Shayna Baszler trying to put the disarmer in on Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch tries to keep going for the disarmer in many different cases, and then but it continually always gets reversed. Shayna did hit Becky with the that swinging. She gets her in that powerbomb position and then swings her into the announce table like she had done on Monday night. Some very good hard hitting spots with this one, but the ending came with Becky Lynch reversing a Carafuna clutch. It looked like that Shayna had finally gotten the Carafuna clutch in and ends out getting reversed into basically Becky rolling through, and Shayna's shoulders were on the mat, and Becky Lynch picks up the victory. Would I say that this one was probably the wrong outcome for this particular match? Yeah, I probably would, but overall I thought this was still a very good match, and it seems that maybe since it was more of a roll-up victory versus a more decisive victory, that they could continue on with this feud down the line. Maybe Shayna's not necessarily done with Becky Lynch or anything like that, but we'll see where everything goes from there. Up next, we have the Intercontinental title match, which is going to be Daniel Bryan going up against Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn does his normal duck and dodge. He's trying to play this whole aspect of being untouchable throughout the entire time. And he's been doing that recently and doing that here at the beginning of this match. Every time it looks like the match is about to start, Sami Zayn gets out, Daniel Bryan goes after him, Cesaro gets in the way. Then Sami Zayn does it again, then Nakamura gets in the way. That causes Drew Gulak to go after and start taking care of Cesaro and Nakamura. They get rid of them for a decent period of time, though we will see them back towards the end of the night. Daniel Bryan says, you know what? Let him go. Just let him go, because Gulak was in the way of Sami Zayn. But he says, let him go. Let him walk up the ramp. Let him leave. Sami was like, okay, thank you for coming to your senses, everything like that. Bryan ends out stopping him. He starts dominating the match with some very stiff, very stiff kicks to the chest, back area. And just overall dominating the match with a little bit of flurry here and there from Sami Zayn. Almost to the point that you would figured, is Bryan technically the heel in this one? No, it's more of the aspect of Sami Zayn playing that manager role, even with the Intercontinental title, is that he doesn't do a lot of offense. So Bryan kind of controls most of this match. Towards the end, Cesaro and Nakamura come back. They get rid of Drew Gulak. Daniel Bryan does a dive onto both of them. He goes to the top rope to look like he was going to do the missile drop kick, runs into the haluva kick as he jumps off, and Sami Zayn picks up the victory. Honestly, I thought this was, in terms of storytelling and everything, with what they were going for, with, Daniel Bryan having to do everything he can to finally get to Sami Zayn, or anybody really to get to Sami Zayn. He finally gets to him, dominates the match, but isn't able to pick up the victory. I thought this was a well-told story, and I thought this was a pretty good match to go along with that. Sami Zayn picks up that victory and is going to keep the Intercontinental title. Up next, we have a triple threat match, singles match, because The Miz was not going to be in this match. They did write him off by saying that during the melee he injured himself, so that's how they wrote him off at this point. But it becomes a one-on-one match, a triple threat with one member of each team, which was still going to be a ladder match, and it was still going to be for the tag team titles. Yes, in a single style match they are defending the tag team titles. It sounds weird, but man, did they give everything that they had to this particular match. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. It was Kofi Kingston, Jimmy Uso, and John Morrison. Oh man, they left it all out in this particular match. You had John Morrison at one point on the ladder going up. Kofi springboards to the ladder and gets Morrison in a Hurricanrana position, and Hurricanranas him off of the ladder. Absolutely insane spot. with that one. You also had a twisting Starship Pain variation that was off of the ring post onto a ladder that was sitting in the ring. Way too many spots to really describe in these particular matches, but all three of these guys left it all out there. It was absolutely fantastic. I thought this was a great match for from all three of them. The ending of this match was actually a very unique one, something I hadn't really seen. As we know, WWE has that new apparatus. Instead of just hanging the titles like on a circular thing that is above the ring, they have that apparatus, not necessarily apparatus. It's almost like a shelf, not even a shelving. What is it? It is a ring of some sort, but it has the WWE logo on it. It has that weird kind of triangle thing to it to go along with it. All three of them are fighting over it, and all three of them have their hands on it. Jimmy Uso unlatches it from the actual apparatus, but all three teams have their hands on it at the time. So everybody's kind of laying claim to the tag team titles. As everybody falls off, as not everybody falling off, but everybody starts fighting over it. And John Morrison falls off, but he falls with the titles, leaving Kofi and Jimmy with that thing that they were hanging from to go along with it. And lo and behold, John Morrison picks up the victory in that one. And like I said, I thought this was a great match in the terms of the ladder match, based off of the fact that they did probably take Miz out of this really close to this match even happening. You would have to go off and say that this was probably decently improvised, but it did not hinder them in any way, shape, or form to go along with it. As we get ourselves a nice little drink of water again, we go on to the next match, which is another grudge match in this particular one. It is Seth Rollins going up against Kevin Owens. Nobody at ringside. Honestly, again, effort from everybody was extremely high on this one, in these particular matches as well. I liked where this match went, and I liked the aspect of what they were trying to do with Kevin Owens on this one. He was trying to get a WrestleMania moment by getting a victory. He does get 2 victories in this particular case. One by DQ, but he was not going to have enough of that, or he wasn't going to have any of that on that one. And he wanted to restart the match with no DQs. Before they got there, you had a Falcon Arrow spot from Seth Rollins to Kevin Owens on the ring apron. Both of these guys were going all over the ringside area. And once they restarted the match, it wasn't one of those, it's like, oh, restarted and it ended like 30 seconds later type things. No, they went on for another good 6 minutes afterwards. They started bringing the weapons out. This, like I said, it wasn't one of those, oh, we'll restart with no DQs and quick roll up and victory. No. Owens does a massive dive. So what they ended up doing was they brought the WrestleMania sign that was probably hanged up in the arenas or anything like that into the performance centers behind the announce table throughout both nights. Owens climbs that after he had taken out Seth Rollins, and does a dive off of that sign through the announce table onto Seth Rollins. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. He does roll Seth Rollins back into the ring. Doesn't finish the match with that. He does get him back up and gives Seth Rollins the stunner and picks up the victory to quote unquote be his WrestleMania moment, even though he did apron powerbomb Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 33, but I guess that doesn't count right now. Yeah, it doesn't count apparently on that one. Still counts to me, but quote unquote, Kevin Owens gets his WrestleMania moment and a big WrestleMania victory over Seth Rollins. Up next, we had R-Truth showing up with Mojo Rawley and Gronk, who had been doing all the hosting. So Gronk was doing the hosting at the time, and he brought in Mojo for this one. R-Truth is trying to hide from everybody on that, yet he finds two people that's like, we may want to take this title. So Mojo does knock out R-Truth, or actually Gronk does knocks down R-Truth, goes for the victory, but Mojo wasn't having any of that. Picks up the victory himself, and he was gone on that one. Well, if you want to know a little bit more about the 24/7 stuff, I talked a little bit more about that on night 2 because more stuff did happen there. Up next, you had Paul Heyman doing a promo about tomorrow night's match with Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre. Nothing really to write home about on that one. Standard fare, really good from Paul Heyman, but nothing new or nothing really special about this. Up next, we had the Universal title match. It was Goldberg and Braun Strowman, as we all knew, based upon everything there, and very late in the game as well. They did replace Roman Reigns with Braun Strowman, as Roman did pull himself out of the match based upon the current situation in the world at this point in time. Completely understandable to him on his end and everything to go along with that. I can't complain on that one. His and anyone's health has to come before anything else at this point in time. So I give a big ups to him. It's like, yeah, you know what? Based off of everything that I've been through, I probably shouldn't be doing this at this point in time. And I even made mention to it before. He made the absolute right decision for himself on that one. So all big ups to him and fairness to him on that particular side. Completely understandable. They do go into this match with no build in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, they just on Friday night, it's like, oh yeah, and now it's Braun Strowman taking on Goldberg for the Universal title. Like, not even hyping this or anything to go along with that. This match, based upon everything, I felt like this match may have been still a short one, even if it was Roman in this particular match. But this was a very short match with everybody having their finishers all stored up. Goldberg hits 3 spears right off the bat. He goes for the jackhammer, and it gets countered into a power slam, into a second power slam, into a third power slam, and then Strowman does the running power slam variation, and 1, 2, 3. Now, if you wanted me to talk about, because we also saw this same style match the next night with Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre, I'm going to say this is probably the worst variation of this, mainly due to the fact that at least with Drew and Brock, they had some kind of story going into it based upon the Royal Rumble stuff, everything that you had been seeing with Drew talking about going into the match, everything with Paul Heyman. There was a story built around this. And that if they were able to build any type of story between Braun and Goldberg on this particular one, that would have helped this match out immensely. And the factor of them just going that route, about a 2-minute, 15-second match to go along with it. But there was no build, no hype behind it. And it made this match really lack on that particular side. Super happy that Braun gets the Universal title on that particular side, that he had always been floating around the Universal title scene. And finally gotten the Intercontinental title to go along with that. Yeah, they probably should have done something like this with him a long time ago, but they had not at that particular time. He's always been the quote-unquote plan B, and it seems like that they cashed in on that at this point in time to go along with that. I wish I could say more about this one, because I like Braun Strowman. I do. I think he's always been a very good performer that's been always on that area of being thought of as a main eventer. And he's finally getting that here with this particular situation. But it feels a little bit... because there was no build to it. Like I said, there was a build in any way, shape, or form, or even if they had done something, say, on Friday night to help build it, I think that would have worked out a lot better on that particular one. But in this case, it comes off looking a little bit kind of just meh, meh. But I'm glad that he is getting a Universal title. We'll see what they decide to do with that with him for the period of time. So we'll see where it goes from there. But this brings us to the main event of the night. And in the terms of in-ring, Braun Strowman and Goldberg was the main event of the night in the in-ring side. But we also had a boneyard match. Sorry about that. But we also had a boneyard match to go through on those particular ones. And it was AJ Styles and The Undertaker. And the way that AJ Styles brought himself into the boneyard area or the gravesite area, however you want to do this, immediately told me it's like, oh, we are in for a wild ride. And man, were we in for a wild ride on this one. So AJ Styles enters in a hearse. In the background, they had the Undertaker's music, the gong, and the eerie music of the Dead Man variation of the Undertaker. It's like, oh, so the Druids are bringing in the Undertaker. He's going to come in a coffin. Nah, AJ's in the coffin. The Druids are Gallows and Anderson. And Undertaker enters in as Biker Taker from the road area, coming into a Metallica-esque song. And man, was this a wild ride. Was it punchy kicky? Absolutely. Was it super cheesy? Absolutely. And it was fantastic. Undertaker does gain control throughout most of the early portion against AJ. Gallows and Anderson do jump in, but Undertaker at one point takes a lead pipe and goes to hit AJ with it, but he puts the lead pipe in his arm through the glass of the hearse, which makes him start bleeding on that one. They to go along with that, and it just kept getting a little bit stranger, from there and there. This was like a B. How would I really want to put this? And I'm a type of person that likes the cinematic wrestling stuff and everything to go along with that. Obviously, I like the traditional way of a wrestling show, but in this particular case, and with what they had, it definitely fits for the story that they were going for in this match. If you really want to call it a match on that one. But, man, was it cheesy. The best way I could put it is like, B horror film action sequence with Undertaker eventually gaining a lot of control. AJ throws dirt in his eyes to start getting a little bit more control of the match itself. Both of them are fighting around the grave area because there was a hole dug in the ground, and that played, of course, a part of it in the ending of it to go along with it, because somebody was going to get essentially buried alive. Gallows and Anderson do jump in. He's able to fight off all three of them, but AJ does gain a little bit more control. They start fighting towards the grave area. It looks like AJ's trying to punch him into the grave. Undertaker reverses and throws him in. But as it was looking, but like I said, Gallows and Anderson were still around. They start gaining a little bit more control, and they stop him from potentially burying AJ Styles. Undertaker was able to fight off Gallows and Anderson a bit, but he gets lured into where there was a barn area, and the door falls down, and you have 8 druids. Just 8 druids there, and you're thinking, it's like, is this something to help the Undertaker? No, they're with Gallows and Anderson, because remember, they were druids beforehand to go along with it, or they were druids when bringing in AJ Styles. Undertaker fights off all the druids. AJ Styles comes in. He starts gaining all the control of the match. He gets Undertaker into the grave. And it looks like AJ's going to win this. And yes, we have Biker Taker. But we also get a little glimpse of that dead man Taker as well, because lo and behold, and you hear, I love the aspect of the eerie music in the background. The fact that they were also ad-libbing some extra stuff to go along with it in this fight was even better. You saw that in a lot of matches where people were kind of ad-libbing and trash talking throughout the other matches to kind of get rid of the aspect that there's no crowd noise or anything like that going on. But they were ad-libbing inside there, and lo and behold, Undertaker, as it looks like AJ Styles is going to bury him alive, he started up the tractor to do that, appears behind AJ Styles, and this is where it gets even crazier to go along with that, because now we have dead man variation. He starts battling AJ Styles, who's and taking control again. AJ Styles was able to get away for a little bit and gets himself on top of the roof of one of the barns with that one. Undertaker follows him up there. He throws up fire throws up fire as AJ Styles was trying to back away, and Gallows and Anderson try to fight him again. He throws Gallows off of the barn and does the tombstone to Carl Anderson on top of the barn area. And he gets to AJ Styles, and AJ's starting to finally beg off at this point in time. And Undertaker's like, oh, no, no, no. And you have these like little trash talking bits like, how old am I again? What's my wife's name again? Because what AJ had been doing the entire time with kind of going a little shooty with him. And then choke slams him off of the barn to the ground itself. AJ is finally fully begging off. Undertaker is carrying him over to the grave, drops him beforehand. You have AJ just saying, don't bury me, man. Don't bury me. Nice little touch there on that one. It's like, and you just have Undertaker sitting there, it's like, man, you put up a good fight. Take this one like a man. You put up a great fight. Not many people been able to pull this one off on that one. Gives him a little hug. It's like, I'm not going to bury you. I'm not going to bury you. And of course, kicks him into the grave, gets the tractor, puts the dirt on AJ Styles. You have the mannequin hand out of the, you have like AJ Styles' hand sticking out of there with his glove on, just clearly a mannequin hand. And Undertaker rides off into the night with with fire going off in the background and a laser variation of his logo to go along with it. And man, was it a wild ride. I absolutely love this. I do really like the cinematic style, and I do feel like it has its own place in the wrestling world, especially with a match like this particular one. And in certain instances, to go along with that, with what, not having a crowd or anything like that, I feel like the aspect of having the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match, they have their place here, and this cinematic stuff plays off well on TV. Generally, it doesn't play off well when you have a live crowd and they're just watching it on a big screen. It's like, oh, we're just at a movie now instead of at the wrestling show. But in this particular case with both of these, and based off of the circumstances, it made sense for them to kind of go this route on that, and I absolutely enjoyed this one. Overall, I enjoyed night one of WrestleMania. I'm not sure which night I liked more. To go along with that, I'm not going to really say. I just will go off and say that I really did enjoy both nights of WrestleMania on this one. Again, big ups to everybody who was able to get this put together on that one. And yeah, it was very, very it was a very enjoyable couple of nights of wrestling. That is everything I've got for WrestleMania 36 Night 1. I thank you guys again for watching this. Peace out. Take care. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And I hope you have a great rest of your night.